Dr. Akin talks about a soon-to-be developed and marketed technology called Oculus Rift. This virtual reality headset is now available on the market. Some of you may have already used it. Let me know if you have. And Dr. Akin argues that the problem is not our technology, necessarily. The bigger problem is what the technology is used for. So she raises the issue in the last part of this chapter about, should we abstain from technology use, or do we have to learn how to adapt to our new technology? Technology offers enormous advantages for accessibility and choice. We can totally give up smoking and alcohol, but we can't give up technology. Rather than talking about addiction, she says we should talk about adaptation. And the best way to adapt is to be informed. We need to understand ourselves and how the cyber world affects us or may affect us if we're not aware of its potential effects. For people who have problems of impulsivity or self-control issues, or those who are prone to social isolation or depression, the internet is a more dangerous place to be. The smartphone is a more dangerous device, and video games are more problematic. For those people, maybe we need to say, maybe you're not addicted, you're cyber maladapted. This brings us to compulsive gaming and gamers' thrombosis. In June of 2018, the World Health Organization officially included gaming disorder as a diagnosable condition. Note that this is an update from the information in the Cyber Effect. So it is now officially a diagnosable disorder according to the World Health Organization. It's not yet included in the DSM. Gaming disorder is the most thoroughly studied of all the eye-tech disorders. It is most common among men and tends to co-occur or be comorbid with depression, anxiety, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And it can be fatal. Gamers' thrombosis, dying from a blood clot that forms from sitting still for long periods of time playing video games or surfing the internet. This blood clot breaks off and causes a heart attack. Marathon gaming is more prevalent in Asian countries. In the thousands of internet cafes or gaming arcades throughout India, Taiwan, China, South Korea, and the Philippines. There are more than, at the writing and publication of our book, 12,000 internet cafes in South Korea, where professional gaming is a multi-million-dollar industry, and where a small number of gamers die from fatal blood clots. This marathon gaming, a person sitting in a chair for 12, 16, 18, 20 hours or more, can lead to a deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot that forms in the lower extremities, in the legs or lower part of the body, which can break off and find its way to the heart and cause a pulmonary embolism, a heart attack. Neuroimaging studies show the gaming addict brain shows patterns that are similar to drug addicts and alcoholics. We'll learn more about that when we read chapters from iMinds by Mari Swingle. The DSM lists internet gaming disorder in an appendix as a syndrome requiring further study. They do describe it as more common among males between the ages of 12 and 20 years of age. It's defined by excessive use of the internet, withdrawal, tolerance, and negative consequences. Excessive use of using the internet for playing video games. China has already developed many treatment centers for internet addiction. There are hundreds of inpatient programs. They have also enacted laws prohibiting online gaming between midnight and 6 a.m. In Taiwan, there are fines levied against parents if their child exceeds a certain certain amount of screen time. In the U.S., there is a discussion of making esports a college sport. This, of course, has become a reality, and we have an esports club at Longwood. Addicted gamers have or develop other problems, including poor hygiene, other types of health problems, higher levels of aggression with others, and poor nutrition. Walter Mischel in the 1960s and 70s conducted the Stanford Marshmallow experiments, studying impulsivity and delayed gratification. And he found that children with stronger impulse control, who could inhibit themselves from eating a marshmallow placed in front of them, showed higher academic performance later on. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and hostility in boys is very strongly associated with internet addiction. Among girls, depression and social phobia are associated with internet addiction. And we will return to both of these issues again when we read chapters in iMinds during our third week of the class. The problems are impulsive boys are shunned by others socially, which lends itself to gravitating towards internet use and video gaming. Their impulsivity seems to calm down when they go online or play video games. But we'll see later on that this is exactly what these kids don't need. Some parents think that their impulsive child needs to engage in outdoor activity in order to burn off excess energy. But Dr. Aiken argues these kids actually need quiet time and to learn how to be quiet. This is healthier for their brain. And we'll also return to this issue later on when we read chapters in iMinds. Do game developers ever consider the effect their products have on users, or their ethical responsibility to the public? If they don't care, shouldn't the government regulate them seriously, like they regulate the fast food industry and the movie industry, due to the harmful effects on youth of exposure to inappropriate qualities or inappropriate levels or inappropriate substances in these products? Video game use also uses an unnatural game design. In real-life games like soccer and basketball and baseball and tennis and field hockey, the games are designed so that the players are tired at the end, and stopping playing the game is a relief. With video games, the game gets harder the longer you play, and you're encouraged to keep playing by other players. There are lots of YouTube videos showing kids losing it emotionally, behaviorally, playing video games. These are a kind of dissociative episode or breakdowns because the child or teenager doesn't have a handle on reality or even remember the episode. The fact that these episodes are posted online for others to view makes them permanent, forever torturing those who are in the video. And they're often posted by peers. This is very different than losing it in a real game. Losing your temper in a real game, a basketball or football or field hockey or lacrosse game, is forgotten later that day or the next day. And the reputation of the person who lost their cool can be overcome. Posting a video of someone losing their cool is a permanent part of a person's future. Compulsive internet addiction is also associated with having an external locus of control and higher levels of depression. Having an external locus of control means that you have the attitude that things outside of yourself control your experience and control who you are. Having an internal locus of control is characterized by believing that you're the person that's in control of who you are, what you experience, whether or not you can succeed or fail. Martin Seligman said our technology gadgets are the most responsive devices we've ever seen. Martin Seligman, you may remember if you've had Intro to Psych or other psychology classes, is famous for giving us the phrase learned helplessness. The problem is the outcomes over which they give us exquisite control are trivial. He says depression is a disorder of personal control. Technology gives us the illusion of control, providing the illusion of control while undermining it. Porn sites receive more online hits than Netflix, Amazon, and Twitter combined. It is 30% of the total internet industry. Compulsive cybersex is a type of hypersexual disorder. In spite of the wealth of evidence that the disorder existed and was common, the American Psychiatric Association decided to not include sex addiction in the most recent edition of the DSM. Dr. Aiken is mystified why sex addiction wasn't included in the DSM-5, even though there was a wealth of evidence that it is a significant problem. Online porn use is anonymous, easily accessible, and easily affordable. Researchers Olds and Milner in 1954 showed that rats who have brain implants connected to the pleasure center of the brain, the hypothalamus, and can send electrical impulses at will to this center, will pleasure themselves to death, foregoing food, water, and sleep until they die. According to Philip Zimbardo, the psychologist famous for conducting the Stanford Prison Experiment, now argues that the average teen boy watches 50 porn videos online per week. By the time the average boy is 21 years old, he has played 10,000 hours of video games, 2/3 of that taking place in isolation by himself. He argues that gaming and pornography among teens have rewired their brains to need novelty, excitement, and constant arousal.